Welcome back to Outside the Round Pen. This is episode 3 of season 2. If you saw last week's episode, we talked about being the bearer of God's image and working towards becoming capable of carrying His presence everywhere we go. And this week, we're going to be diving into what it looks like to work towards wearing everything that is needed to carry His presence. So scripturally, that is a reference to the armor of God. If you're enjoying the journey so far, please make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and let's get into it. Welcome to Outside the Round Pen, where we step beyond the basics of training and into the deeper lessons horses teach us about faith, leadership, and partnership with Jesus. I want you to go back with me an episode before this one. So the first episode of season 2, we talked about the war horse and the role that plays, and the beauty of the parallels that brings into the story with Josie. But in this episode, I want to bring just a little bit different perspective on that image. The war horse, just as a recap, it's power under control. That was something we talked about a lot in the first episode as far as meekness goes. But it was also wearing armor, which tied into last week's episode, that it's being within those bounds of having a saddle, of having a bridle, of having the armor physically for a war horse. All of those things were meant to protect itself, but also to be able to carry its rider. But the horse doesn't worry about the rider's victory. That's not its job. Its job is to carry the rider and trust that the rider is doing its job, right? Which the rider is the one that has the vision, the forethought. It knows the plan. It knows the details and depth of where they're going. The horse's job is to be the sturdy foundation that carries that presence, right, for us, carries that rider into battle and ideally back out. And the victory is up to the rider, not to the horse. In every role of anyone who's ever been in the army or in any kind of battle or physical altercation, when you are prepared, you usually come with some sort of armor and some sort of weapon. There's a level of preparation there, which we've talked a lot about, and there's a level of forethought that's going to protect your physical body. For a horse, that armor looks different than for a human, but we're not necessarily talking about war today, but we are talking about what it looks like to be prepared spiritually. And for Josie, which is our parallel through this whole series, for Josie, it's what it looks like to be now wearing the full getup, if you will, or being prepared to carry all of her outfit, which isn't necessarily taking her into battle, but it is taking her into something she's not used to. So just like physical preparation requires a lot of forethought and all of the things that you have to do to get ready for that, spiritual readiness requires intentional steps as well. So just as a soldier puts on the full armor before battle, like we just talked about, we too are called to put on the full armor of God, right? And that's in Ephesians 6:11. I won't read it all here, but it talks about all of these different pieces and different specific areas that are protected in certain ways. It's not all generalized. You wouldn't put a helmet on your feet and expect that to help you. That's just stupid. It probably would actually cause more hurt than good. So, like, it's a funny image, but that's what sometimes when we get ready to go face our day or we get ready to go interact with things, we forget to put on spiritual armor, which, again, what that means we're kind of going to dive into. But if you put the wrong thing in the wrong place in the natural, you're gonna cause issues. If you don't put it on at all, that also might cause issues. But knowing when and where each piece goes and how to handle it is something that the Lord is so good at teaching us and literally is laid out in the scripture. But also, it's something that comes with practice. It's not something that just is a natural, oh yeah, I'm good to go, and yeah, I've done that once or twice or whatever. Like it's a consistent thing that's required. And every time that you put it on, you also have to make sure that it's done right, because it's not just willy-nilly, just, oh yeah, whatever. We are in a spiritual battle. And when we talked about last week, the idea of bearing his image, and then, the week before being carriers of that, and everywhere we go, we have to be submitted to the process, because whether you like it or not, the world is watching you, and you have the image of the Lord, our Savior, on you. There's an enemy who doesn't want you to win. He doesn't know, he doesn't want the world to know who you are, who you represent. And so he's actively going to be fighting against your decision to put on armor or not. What does it look like for us to daily get prepared to wear the spiritual armor of God? Just like we put on clothes every single day, whether or not we feel like it. That's kind of just culturally appropriate. You don't leave the house without those. This is something that we must wear if we want to be intentionally prepared to face our day spiritually. And trust me, I'm in this same boat often. It's much easier to forget or just be selective in thinking that, oh yeah, no, we're just fine. I don't have to choose to do that. But it's a requirement if you want to be able to receive the fullness of what the Lord has in store for you, and to be prepared in and out of season for the world to know what your testimony is and what the Lord has done for you, right? Because we're called to be his image bearers. And so that means in and out of season, you need to be prepared to share with the world what a good father he is. And then also to wear the armor of God. That means we've got an enemy. Like I just mentioned, we've got someone who is not happy that you woke up and you know whose you are, who you represent, and that you want to be willing to share with the world a good father. So that means you need to be prepared for his attacks against us. This leads us, now this is kind of funny tie-in, right? But this leads us to the first clip with Josie, where I'm intentionally going through and I'm with her, preparing her to be ready to carry or wear something. Starts with me just rubbing her down. I'm just verifying that her body is ready to receive that her mind is ready to receive that. This is so much more than just a friendly little pat down. It's actually me testing to see, are you willing to yield to me in this area? Are you willing to be available to me in this area? Can you feel my pressure here? Do you remember that we talked about this last time? Do you remember or not? And if not, okay, we need to talk about that before I put anything on you, because that's the honoring thing for her, is to understand. And this is a perfect example right here. For her to understand, I'm asking something she's familiar with, but sometimes it's easy for us to forget. And so when we're getting things on, when we're preparing to receive, when we're preparing to wear the armor of God, you need to check in with the Lord first. Don't just do it out of rote habit. Do it because you want to be intentional, and he is going to lead you in what area you need to be focused on that day to be prepared, because he knows before you do what the enemy's going to bring, what your flesh is going to bring, what the world is going to bring or need from you. And he's gonna customize what you need to put on every single day. If you take nothing else away from this video, the image of Josie and me rubbing her down and testing every area of her body before I do anything else is foundational in the relationship with her. And the Lord does the same thing with you. He goes through all of these areas, or wants to, if you'll let him, goes through every area, and he goes, okay, now this area you need a little more armor on today because the enemy has something in store you don't know about. Or this area I want you to be nice and up front, because there's going to be someone when you go out to the grocery store and you're standing in line that they're going to need that piece of your story that I've provided for you, that's going to minister to them so that they can now go and be ready to face whatever else, the world has in store. If you get nothing else away from this video, know the Lord wants to help you armor every area of your life, defend all of it, and have it still on display in a beautiful way for the world to see, because he's a good father and he's not going to set you up for failure. The Apostle Paul encourages us to put on the whole armor of God, right? It's emphasizing the importance of each individual piece plays a different role just like all of the tack for a horse plays a different role. It communicates to different pieces of the body, which is why it was so important for me to test all the pieces of her body, receiving pressure, not receiving pressure, all of it. Specifically, that area is referenced in Ephesians 6:13. The belt of truth, the breastplate of righteousness, the shoes of peace, shield of faith, helmet of salvation, sword of the Spirit. Each one of these serves a distinct purpose, right? Obviously, we already talked about some of that there's differences. They don't have a unanimous role across the board. Yes, they are meant to protect you, but each one has a different job to protect you against the enemy's schemes. Ephesians 6:14-17 talks all about that, right? Again, this is more of the same, but I am wanting you guys to watch this. This is preparing her to receive the communication through the reins, which is so important. We've looked at the saddle, we've looked at the saddle pad, we've looked at the pieces that hold it onto her belly, right? But for her, the bridle, or the halter right here. For her, the halter is so critical because I am putting this on her face. For a horse, some of the most tender and sensitive areas with communication are on their face. Their most powerful pressure points are on the top of their head, in their mouth, and on the sides of their noses, which is where all of those pieces, they're all touched by a halter or a bridle. And then that is how you communicate from her back where you're wanting to go when you're training her. That's that. If you don't have that as a foundation, then you're not going to be able to talk to her face. And if you can't control her face, the body follows where her face goes. And so if you don't have that, you don't really have great control of her. So from there, now it goes straight into, you can see, introducing her, reintroducing her to things she's familiar with. But again, checking in every day. This is something you consciously allow the Lord to minister to you through every individual day. For her, every individual day, every time I put a saddle on, every time I do this, yeah, I could assume that it's the same, but it's a new day. She has new challenges. She might have woken up on the right side of the pasture or not. And I need to check in. I'm a good leader in that way. And so I'm always watching and paying attention to what she's ready to receive and not. Yeah, it might be the same stuff she's used to, but I want to make sure that when she's putting on her clothes to be able to carry the presence of me, right? To carry me into the next whatever adventure we have, I need to know that she has been set up for success. That means I'm set up for success. And so this is, again, it's a tangible representation of I am consciously going through the motions with her every single time I put these on. I do the same things. I don't always show you, but I do the same exact things. I process through it, each individual piece, because it's so important. They play such an integral role in the overall outcome of our experience today and leading down the line. Again, the Lord does the same thing with us and armor, that it's not something that you just do out of habit. You want to do it consciously because he's going to counsel you on every step that you need to do, and every area that you need to focus on, because every day is going to be different. And so now putting the saddle on, we already established the saddle pad's good to go. And now this saddle, I do want to point this out. This saddle is different than the other ones I've been doing. Those are training saddles. This is a very heavy, it's probably a 60-pound saddle. It's got enough weight on its own to be able to establish some dominance. It's hefty, and it's something that I have not put on her before. So the other ones, they're called treeless saddles. They are lighter weight. This one, it's the real deal. Those were preparation. Now, can I ride in them? Yes. This one means business. And I would take this one on longer rides if I was actually taking her in advance or taking another horse outside. This is one that would go the distance. Those other ones, they're a little bit more short term. And so again, tying back to armor, the Lord is going to lead you on what areas you need to be established in, what areas you already are established and you're ready to go to the next level in, and phase you into and out of different pieces as you grow spiritually. Because again, it's not one size fit all. It's not one role is the same across the board. Every day is going to be different, and every individual piece of interaction with him and with the world and with the enemy with your flesh, all of it. It's never the same. And so he knows, and he wants to prepare you to be set up for success, so that every situation that you face, you don't have to do it alone, and you don't have to do it going into it blind. He wants to prepare you for that. So spiritual armor is not just a gift that we received from the Lord. It's also something that we must actively train in to be able to handle. Just like any piece of equipment, it requires persistent use to be comfortable, where it becomes an extension of who you are. And so just like with Josie, you're watching over the course of all these episodes, season 1 and now in season 2, she has gone from this being an incredibly uncomfortable exchange with just putting a saddle on, just putting a halter on, to now, oh yeah, I've got this. This is pretty comfortable. I'm pretty good with this. And it's because of the repetition. Again, it's not something that just happens. You have to be conscious about it, but it also doesn't have to be hard. It's something when you partner with the Lord on it, just like Josie is partnering with me, and she's like, wait a minute, I can trust you. I know you have good intentions for me, so I can actually take a back seat and just kind of enjoy the ride. You get to do the same thing with the Lord as he leads you. As long as you are conscious and willing to let him in, you're good. He's going to do what he needs to protect his kids. That's what a good father does. He loves you enough to set you up for success, which I feel like I'm a broken record saying that, but he does. That is his genuine intention. It's the way that his kingdom works, is he wants you to succeed, because when you succeed, that means the world gets to see that he loves you, and the world knows us by our love. That's for each other. That's for him. And this is a perfect example of why you need to be conscious about putting on your armor. It's not because you're afraid. It's because you want to be set up for success and prepared for the world to see you carrying your king well. Just as Josie is preparing to eventually carry a rider, specifically me in this instance, she is wearing specific equipment, but I am setting her up for success down the line by putting her in training phases of equipment, like I talked about with the saddle, a lighter saddle, now a heavier saddle. And I'm also preparing her with her face, which we talked about a minute ago, through the halter and the lead rope to take a bridle, a bit, and reins. So again, a rider is set up for success from the back of her to be able to communicate effectively with her. And now both people are adequately protected because of the foundation we're building now. So I mentioned this before, that this is something that she has now taken this saddle or the saddle multiple times at this point. But I want you to see how comfortable she is. She's so comfortable with moving, she accidentally ran me over. Like she is happy. She feels natural in it now. And yet this is the heaviest saddle I have put on her. Again, that saddle weighs easily 60 pounds. It is not a lightweight thing. Those other saddles that I've been training her on, maybe 10, maybe. Soaking wet. And so I just want you to see, she looks like she's been doing this her whole life. And she was meant for this, which is true. She was meant for this. This is something that she is now enjoying and she's stepping into in a way that's not been done before. Now, what I'm doing is I'm setting her up to receive actual weight on that by playing with her cinch, which is the piece around her middle that tightens it so that the saddle doesn't slip and the rider doesn't come off, doesn't hurt her back by, like, again, this equipment, this armor is protecting her and the rider. For a lot of people, they don't think about that sort of thing, but the cinch actually is designed to protect her back as well as the balance of the rider. Now, both have to work together, right? But that is something that is so critical. If your cinch is not tight enough, or if your latigo is not tight enough, the saddle slips and now both horse and rider are in a very dangerous situation that could cost both of them either bodily harm or worse, right? There is still a little bit of discomfort there and uncertainty there. She's slightly distracted, doesn't love it. I mean, yeah, who else would? Like when you put a belt on too tight, it's not exactly comfortable, but I know where it needs to sit, and I know that this is something that is going to protect her in the long term, and she is still trusting me to stand to receive it, and she expresses her discomfort, but that's about where it ends. And now I'm preparing her to learn our test where she remembers those reins communicating to her face through. It's not just about the armor. It's also about the attitude in which you receive those things. Because again, you could wear something, right? You look at King David, he was offered armor and he didn't need it because he didn't need something bulky to weigh him down. That's why I keep referring to the fact that the Lord is going to guide you on what you need that day. We need to actively participate in inviting the Lord to help us with wearing specific armor for every single day. That's more important than just doing it out of rote habit, like I've talked about in the last couple minutes. So it's so important to know that when you don't receive it, or when you don't posture yourself to receive what the Lord is going to lead you in, you might put a priority. You might put priority on something that is not actually as important that day as you might think. And the Lord would have given you a lot of heads up, and that you could have saved some energy by putting all this effort into something and knowing, oh my gosh, I could have gotten away with just doing this because the Lord knows what you need. So this is a perfect example. In this moment, I invite her to be positioned with all of her equipment's on for the day. That's what she needs. I know that she doesn't need anymore, but I wanted her to be standing in the right position next to the mounting block in preparation for learning, eventually down the line, to take a rider from there. And then she decided that there was a little bit of discomfort, and now she needs to go and express that discomfort. So she takes some time and then realizes, wait a minute, I don't need to expend that energy. I can just come back because she's not asking that of me. Oh, she just wanted this. And now she's good again. And so this is a perfect representation of, you can use all of your emotional energy, all of your mental energy, trying to problem solve something that isn't even a problem. She's already set up for success for this day. I don't need her to do any more. All I'm asking her to do is move her feet in a specific way, stand in a specific way, to be set up for something that she's not even going to be doing today. And she mentally did some acrobatics and drew a conclusion that she needed to spend energy trying to solve a problem that wasn't there. And when she realized, oh, we're good. That comes back to the fact that armor only does as much as you are prepared to do with it. And so if you don't get yourself in a position to receive from the Lord and practice wearing them like a piece of equipment, you are going to be set up. It will still do something. I'm not saying it won't do anything, but it won't be as effective as it was designed to be, because your heart posture is so much more important to the Lord than anything you do for him. So in light of everything that we've talked about, I want to remind you that your battle is not against flesh and blood. So when you are getting prepared for something, when you are facing the day, I want you to consciously ask and invite the Lord in to prepare you for that by putting on your spiritual armor. Yes, you can read that verse. That might help you as a great foundation, but to invite him to lead you in what you need to do and what you need to be focused on as you face your day. By putting on the armor of God, we're anchoring ourselves in him and his protection for us, his truth, so that we can face life's challenges with confidence and courage, because that's who he is. That's his signature. When you choose to prepare your day with the Lord, it sets this firm foundation for you to establish trust with him, which will carry through the rest of your life. But also it sets you up for success to be able to face everything that you're going to encounter that day, both physically, spiritually, emotionally, all of it, with confidence, knowing that he is right there with you to bear up under that weight, because you aren't meant to carry it alone, and he's going to lead you and guide you through it. So that preparation is critical, and that armor is not something that you just throw on. It's something that he helps equip you with for that day uniquely every single time that you invite him to do so. So as a challenge, I want to invite you every morning to invite the Lord to partner with you in leading you in what you need to wear spiritually as armor that day to face your day with confidence and peace, because that is going to set you up for success starting now, because that's a decision that you make now, not when you're in crisis. So as you continue this next week, I want to remind you that you are not going to do it perfectly, but it's exciting to see that this adventure is going to shift and change your foundation with the Lord. And please leave a comment when you get to the end of the week, or, come back to the episode at some point, because this is something that is going to increase your relationship with Him, and you're going to be able to see fruit from this as you grow in your ability to wear the spiritual armor of God. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll talk to you next week. Thank you for watching. Please consider supporting our ministry, whether by giving or sharing this message with someone who needs it. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss what's next.